Walsh-McGrath, and I am so excited to welcome you to the Business Spotlight, where today my fabulous guest is the beautiful and talented and energy resplendent, is all I can say, Wendy Garcarz. She is a phenomenal business strategist, and oh, I can't wait to hear all about this. She is the founder of Refirement. Ooh, juicy. So I know if you're with us, then you either have a business or you are thinking about leaving the cubicle behind and you want to be inspired by us, people who are in business, who are doing things differently, because there is more out there. There are more paths that you can follow. And I know you are going to be inspired by this phenomenal woman. Welcome to the Business Spotlight, Wendy.
Thank you so much for having me, Elaine. I'm so excited about today.
Oh, me too, me too. So let's get into it. For anyone who doesn't, and how could they not know you, but for anyone who doesn't know you, tell them, what do you do?
I'm a business strategist. I've been doing that for about 30 odd years. But my current passion is refinement. I started this global movement. The idea of it came just over a year ago. And we are a community platform and membership that is specifically for mature women who either want to start a business or want to scale an existing business, because it's incredibly difficult to do that after you're 55. There's a whole shed load of stereotypes and stuff that get in the way, and it makes it really difficult. Not to stand still, I decided that wasn't good enough, and so we needed to do something about that. So Refinement was born.
Oh, that is awesome. And like, what type of client or business then are you seeing are really interested in this movement?
I I I am seeing it, and I think part of that is because women want more. There are so many women now that as they move through their lives, they have families, they watch those families grow up. They might be holding a career down in the meantime. They go through menopause, and they come out through the other end and think, well, is that all there is? What else is going to happen? And it's at that point when suddenly a lot of them realise that there are a lot of freedoms out there that they probably haven't been taken advantage of. So they think, well, what a great time. I've got loads of energy. I've got loads of skills. I want to set up a business. I'm going to do that and I'm going to give back a bit. And then they start to hit these barriers that people put in their place. And so it can be anything. It can be a woman who's leaving a corporate career. It can be somebody who maybe has set up a business or has got a specialism. They want to turn a talent that they've got into a business. So we cover all sectors and all markets, all stages of business owner. But the one thing we have in common is, as is our strapline, we're women who rock, but not in a chair. So we are older women who've got loads of energy, bags of energy, and actually we want to do something really creative and positive with that. And having an enterprise is a fantastic outlet.
Yeah, it certainly is. Gosh, it sounds phenomenal. Um, so, you know, how has this evolved? Like, where did this all come from? Because you're like, oh, I've been a business strategist for 30 years. So, talk to me a bit about the evolution in your career.
Okay. So as I say, I've been doing this, I've been in and out of corporate life. I decided that the only way to change organizations was not from the inside out, because they don't listen to you, but from the outside in. So I became a business consultant and business strategist. And I was doing that for a long time. And you just get on and do stuff. And then what I started to realize was, as I started to age, I used to have these really strange conversations where people would say, well, of course, that doesn't apply to you because you'll be thinking about retiring soon. And I'm thinking, I'm not thinking of retiring at all. What are they talking about? And I thought it was really weird. And I started to have people say strange things to me. And it started to happen when I was 58. And people would have really weird conversations with me. Like I was once invited to a friend's wedding, and she said, "We've invited you to the day celebration because at your age you probably don't do discos, do you?" I thought, what a strange thing to say, but I was noticing it in business as well. And so this time, no, probably January last year, I decided that I was having lots of these anecdotal conversations with people. I thought I'm going to check this out. So I set up a research project. And I've got I've also got a career in academia, and I've taught master's degree programs and stuff. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to put a research project together. And I'm going to find out what women's lived experiences, because strangely enough, I was having these conversations with women, but not with men. So I put this questionnaire out, and do you know what? I'd have been really happy, Elaine, if a couple of hundred people had have sort of sent it back. 1,600 women responded. It was staggering. And what they said to me was astounding. They said, this is real. These stereotypes are there. The preconceived ideas are there. The commercial organisations that should be helping us are actively putting boundaries in the way. Oh, I thought this is crackers. So I put together the report of all of this research and the findings, called the 2024 Wise Women in Business Report. And it talked about women's lived experiences, and these are really strange. So we had everything from the 73-year-old who became a TikTok influencer for women's well-being and health. When TikTok was thought to be only for 16 to 24-year-olds. We had a woman who was 68 who had got a very nice six-figure business, and only worked 6 months a year because she was so successful in what she did. So we got fantastic success stories coming back. But what we'd also got coming back was really strange experiences where people were actively stopped from entering into enterprise. So the research showed that there are lots of high street banks out there, big names, who once you hit 55 becomes really difficult to open a business bank account. It becomes really challenging if you're over 60, and it becomes virtually impossible if you're a woman over 60 and you live on your own, because it's considered that you are too high a risk to run a business. Now, this is crazy. In our lifetime, we are going to see women who won't be able to retire until they're 70. What are you supposed to do in that last decade? And I was incensed by this. I can't tell you. I was incensed by it. And so I'd put this report together, and I was talking with a friend, and she said, you know what? You need to do a TED talk on this. She said, because this is, we need to be talking about this. So I thought, yeah, why not? It's always been on my bucket list. I'll go and do that. So I managed to do exactly that. So in July of last year, I did a TED talk called Refirement, Not Retirement. And the response to that was so phenomenal. I decided that actually I couldn't leave it there. And so from that, I decided I was going to set up a global organisation, a global movement that said enough's enough. And what was really encouraging was, as I'd started to talk about this and with the TED talk and everything else, women were saying to me from all over the world, this isn't just a UK problem. We experience this. So we now have ambassadors, refinement ambassadors from America, Canada, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, and throughout the UK,
Brilliant.
who are just saying enough's enough. We shouldn't be prohibited from running really great businesses, because one of the other things is, as part of the research that I did for the research report, I read the Rose Report, which was published in 2019. And there was a sentence in that, Elaine, that stopped me in my tracks, and it was this. If women started and scaled businesses at the same rate that men do, we could add 250 billion pounds to the UK economy. 250 billion?
It's insane, isn't it? Like the potential, but then the lack of support.
Exactly.
Like what on earth? It makes no logical sense
No,
whatsoever.
Refirement was born. We launched the website, the community platform, and the membership on International Women's Day, which is Saturday, the 8th of March. And honestly, the response has just been phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Brilliant. And what's your vision for this? Like
Uh,
what do you
my vision
see?
is that we will change the world. I don't want young girls who want to become entrepreneurs and want to set up their own business, who may be in their 20s now or even in their 30s. I don't want them to have to jump through the same ridiculous hoops that we've had to jump through. So our mission is simple. We're going to change the world. We're gonna redefine what retirement for women looks like. We're going to write the plan, not have anybody else do it for us. And we're going to create an environment that actually nurtures and supports and encourages and champions us rather than just keep sticking obstacles in the way. That is my vision.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, so like I just love your approach. Like, and I'd love you to share a little bit about, let's say somebody is out there. Well, let's take this in two directions. Let's say there's somebody out there who, like you, is really super passionate about a cause, an issue, their product, a service, and they don't know where to start. Like with your business strategist hat on, what advice would you give a new business that who is like, oh, like I really want to be more visible? Like
I
how do
think
I
for
get
me,
seen? Like.
I think for me, there are a couple of things in there. I think that if you don't start a business because you think it'd be a nice thing to do. Start a business because you have to, because you feel compelled to, because you're passionate about it. And I promise you, if you're passionate about your business, you'll never work another day in your life. You will put long hours in. It will be a hard slog, but it won't feel like work because you're engaging in your passion. And there are some practical things that you need to do as well. So one of the things I do with my clients is I take them through a really simple process. And it's called the Trinity of SMEs, the Trinity of small to medium enterprises. And essentially, to run a really solid business, you need to do three things really well. The first thing you need to do is you need to be an expert in your product or service. So you either need to be producing quality to the highest standard, or you need to be delivering a service that is unusual, that stands out from the rest of the market. And you need to give excellent customer service. The second thing that you need to do is you need to know your numbers. Now, this is one of the areas where lots of small businesses struggle because they don't think they're very good at, the owner doesn't think they're very good at maths. They've never really liked this stuff. Finance might frighten them. I would say to you, learn the basics, and repetition is your friend. So I would say to people, learn how to do your own bookkeeping because the very act of just doing this, and it is a bit laborious, but the very act of just doing it and repeating it on a regular basis helps to build your confidence and helps you to realize that actually there's nothing scary about this at all. As long as you can work a calculator, you can do your own books. And what it does is it gets rid of some of the nonsense mindset that we carry around money. So we have really negative views about money. We don't deserve it. We shouldn't be earning that much. All of this nonsense, which is sort of generational. And if you learn how to do your own bookkeeping, almost like the money that comes into your business isn't yours, it belongs to the business. You get a share of it because of the work you put in. But it really does help you start to challenge some of these stereotypical views. And then the third thing, and this is the most difficult for small businesses, and incidentally for women in particular, is you need to be able to sell your stuff. And it's the biggest thing that people have a problem with because sales gives them the ick. They just don't like it. They're worried about being rejected, or they don't like to seem pushy, or there's a bit of the imposter syndrome who says, don't be ridiculous, who'd buy from you. So you need to learn how to be comfortable with sales. And my view and the way I work with my clients is to say selling isn't about selling to somebody, it's helping somebody to buy. It's
Yeah.
helping somebody to find the best solution for them. And if you can do that, it becomes easier. And if you nail those three things, you can run a really, really successful business.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. What, speaking and staying with advice, what's the best advice you have received over your career?
I think it's don't let anybody else limit what you think you're capable of. So actually, I'm going to say there's two pieces of advice. So that's the first one. Is if you believe that you can do it, honestly, you can. I mean, the day I stood up on that TED Talk stage, it was a pinch me moment. I can't tell you how long that's been on my bucket list. Maybe 30 years, or however long TED Talks have been going. And to actually be able to stand up and say, I'm doing this was just phenomenal. I'm not unusual. There are thousands upon thousands of women who've got that burning desire to do something. And don't let anybody else tell you that you can't do it. That's the first bit of advice. The second bit of advice is actually, if you don't, I don't know whether you're readers or whatever, but if you read business books, then and you haven't read this one, please go out and get a copy, or get it down on your Kindle or whatever. But this book is a game changer, and it's a book called "Will It Make the Boat Go Faster?" And it's by Ben Hunt Davis, and Harriet Beveridge, and they were. She was a business consultant, but he was the head coach for the UK rowing team at the Atlanta Olympics. And they went out with no expectations because our rowing team had never done anything. And they came back with this clutch of medals. I mean, golds and silvers and all sorts of stuff. And nobody had expected them to get anything. And when he was asked about it, he said, we took a really simple approach to our training regime. And it was this. We said we need to try different things to see how much better we can get. And the rule was we looked at all sorts of things, mad things, creative things, really off the wall things, standard things. And we asked the same question: will it make the boat go faster? And if the answer was yes, we did it. And if the answer was no, we didn't. Now, honestly, you will never find anything more profound about performance management than that sentence, because we end up in life doing things that we think we ought to do without any real evidence that they're making a difference.
Yeah.
We don't look for the proof. And what that approach does is it forces you to ask the obvious. Is it getting me closer to my goal? And if the answer's yes, well, we'll do more of it. And if the answer's no, stop doing it and find something that does. Simple.
Brilliant. That is great advice. Awesome. So tell me, to inspire other people, here you are, you've launched this movement, and so how did you promote it? How did, like, you did the TED Talk. How do you promote your business overall? Like, is there something that, as you say, makes the boat go faster?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. The thing that made my boat go faster to improve my visibility was I got out of my own way. I know that sounds really silly, but I'd had a really bad experience a few years ago where I had been trolled, in quite a serious way, to the point where I'd had death threats. It was really serious. It was a hideous experience, all through social media. And what it actually did was it robbed me of my self-confidence. And I stopped networking. I wouldn't do any networking with anybody face to face or even online. I came off social media. I didn't do anything around that either, because it was such a bad experience and it rocked my confidence so much. Because what you realise is that people can say whatever they like. There are no consequences to it, and you have no comeback. Because if you deny it, it just sort of seems to add fuel to the fire. So I was really in a bad place, and I thought to myself, when I first started to come back into things, I just thought to myself, if I allow that to define me, then they've won. They've absolutely won, and I'm not prepared to do that anymore. So I started to make a little foray back into social media. And I thought I was doing loads. I was everywhere and everybody could see me. And people kept coming up to me and saying, "Oh, we've not, and who are you and what do you do?" And I thought, this is crazy. I'm on social media at least twice a week. And I hadn't really understood what visibility in a business means. But in the world that we're in, when I first started to work with businesses, Elaine, we hadn't got the internet, and so you used to do hard mail. So you'd send a mail shot through the mail, and there was a standard marketing sort of ratio that it took you 6 pieces of paper to go through somebody's letterbox before you registered on their radar. Do you know that nowadays, with the advent of social media, that is now 29 touch points,
Yeah,
the
and well,
equivalent of 29 pieces of paper before you're even on somebody's radar, because there is so much noise in the system. So you have to get comfortable at feeling as though you are bombarding people, because honestly, you're not. You are not. The algorithms that the social media platforms put in place prevent you from bombarding people. That's why they're there. So you have to get comfortable with thinking that you are over communicating, that you are everywhere, that everybody knows what you're doing, because the reality is they don't. And you have to be able to feel comfortable stepping into the light. You are your business. And it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're a therapist, whether you're a craft business, whether you're an artisan, whether you're a VA, whether you're a marketing specialist, it doesn't matter what your business is. If they can't see you, if they can't find you, they can't buy from you. So you have to get used to this idea that people need, you are your own shop window. People need to see who you are. They need to get to know you. They need to get to know what you do, how you can help them, and then they will come to you. And this isn't about whether you feel comfortable with that or not. It's about whether you're giving them the opportunity to find you and buy from you.
so true. I often say that the mistake that people make is that they build a website and they think, okay, that's it, I'm done
Yeah,
now. But it's like, I always say, it's like building a shop in a bog and leash, like with no paths in. Like,
yeah,
once you've got the assets, you have to drive, you've got to create all these paths. It's like you have to build out the map to you.
yes.
And you've got to put as many decent roads on that map so that people can really, really understand where you are. And it's got
Yeah.
to be signposted so, so well so that there is no confusion about the outcome that people are going to get from you. So,
And what you realise, I came across a stat a few weeks ago, and it's absolutely done my head in. I can't quite get my head around it. And the stat was that your thumb, when it scrolls on your mobile phone, your thumb does the equivalent of climbing Mount Everest in 1 month
wow.
on your mobile phone.
Wow. That is
What's
insane.
That is insane. But when you catch yourself doing it, it's true. How many of us find ourselves still scrolling and suddenly look at the clock? You've been going for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, sometimes longer. It is crazy the amount of information that is available to us. And there really isn't that many filters. So we have to be cleverer at putting the messages in that stop people scrolling,
Yeah.
that make people look. And that is really about the way in which we communicate with our clients. and you have to try because there isn't just one personality type out there, there are four. And if you are not talking to all four of those personality types, you are missing so many opportunities. So you have to get comfortable with that level of visibility and that level of accessibility if you want your business to succeed.
Oh, so true. So tell me, what is the dream? What is the dream for the next year with your business?
So my dream is we've started from a standing start. So my dream is that at the end of our first year, we will have 5,000 paid up members of Refirement from all around the world. And when I set that target, it was a gulp because if anybody's ever tried to develop an online membership, 5,000 members is a very, very ambitious target in your first year. But you know what? The more I'm doing this, the more I'm thinking that's a bit safe, that's a bit conservative. Perhaps I ought to double that. Um,
I love it.
because
Love it, Wendy.
I
I
just
love it.
think, do you know what? We have got something that is so special, that is so of the moment. The reality is that by the end of this decade, there is going to be about 30% of our working population that is over the age of 60. That is, and in self-employment,
It's
30%.
huge. It's
That is
huge.
massive. At the
Yeah.
moment, it sits at 11%, but they're expecting it to absolutely escalate in the next sort of 5 years. And I want those people to be part of really nurturing, supportive, collaborative platforms that take some of the angst out of doing that, really.
Yeah. Oh, fair play to you. Okay, well, how can people find you so I'm going to drop the links with our chat here, but how can t tell people how they can work with you?
Really happy if they want to join up. And there's lots of different membership levels, so it's affordable according to your budget, which is really important to me. So you can join on Refirement, which is www.refirement.biz. You can always follow me and the stuff that I put out on all of the social media platforms. We have a YouTube channel as well, so things like the TED Talk and some of the other masterclasses and things that Refinement have done are available there as well. And yeah, just reach out and talk to me. If you are a woman over 55 who feels like you've got a lot left in you, but you don't know where to start, please don't struggle on your own. Contact us and we can signpost you. The website has got a fantastic front end which has got a enterprise hub on it. So if you've never thought of running a business, you can access the information on there, and it will give you some ideas and a starting point of maybe whether how to explore whether this is for you. So there's loads of help out there. The key thing is don't sit there and just think and do nothing. Take action because that is the thing that will make the difference.
Yeah, I mean, you need the fire. You need to put the things together to make the fire. It's been so good to talk to you and to hear about this amazing. It's not a project. It is a global
It's a movement.
movement,
It absolutely
and
is, Elaine.
I can't wait to see it grow and for you to surpass your target. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Business Spotlight.
You are
Thanks.
so welcome. Thanks, Elaine.
Bye.
Bye.